this Friday night. I think we have a few visitors. I think we have a few regulars. It is nice to see people back. Only once in the last two, well, in fairness, for 1 year, there was no one in the sanctuary but myself, John, and Hans. But only one Shabbat have we had more people here than watching at home. I feel like it's going to be close this Friday. I can look around the room. I feel like we're getting close. We might not be there, but it might balance out. So glad you're here with us this Shabbat. And we're going to wait just one more minute because I want to thank Carl. I'll thank him again in a minute. Jay's got the night off in there streaming so that people can watch our service at home. And it's good to have you with us on this Shabbat to be together. So we take a deep breath. We get ready for Shabbat. I imagine some of you had easier weeks. Maybe you returned from vacations. Some of you had harder weeks. You're glad Shabbat is here. Wherever you're at, it's just good to have you back with us on this Shabbat. And I'm going to think that we are good to go. So, our service begins. In a few moments, we'll begin on 120. Not quite yet, but you can turn to there. A word for those of you in the sanctuary. I have to come up with a better word for it. All-inclusive prayer books, and we have Shabbat prayer books. And the difference between the all-week prayer books and the Shabbat prayer books is the Shabbat prayer books are lighter. So if you open a prayer book and you see two sets of page numbers, I'm always referring to the page number in brackets. If you don't have two sets of page numbers, just ignore me. For those of you who are joining us at home on our Shabbat e-blasts, and if you don't get our Shabbat e-blasts, write me during the week and say, put me on the list. There is always a link to the online prayer book, and you can just type in the page numbers there. As we begin, if you're at home, I'm going to ask you to take a moment, and if you are watching the service in front of a cluttered area, a lot of books, a lot of bills, a lot of taxes to do, move somewhere else or throw them on the floor. Try to create a mikdash ma'at, a small sanctuary, by clearing away and really getting ready. And if you're at home, this is a great time if you're home with others to wish them Shabbat Shalom. And if you are home alone, this is a great time to pick up a phone and say, hey, it's Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. For those of you here in our sanctuary, you can turn around if your neck will allow, and you can see some other friendly faces, and you can take them a moment to wish them Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I will be joined in a few minutes on the beam of this Shabbat by Claire Schwartz, one of our recent bat mitzvah students, who, I say, hey, if you want to lead it again, the opportunity is there. And Claire was great. Claire said, yes, I would lead services again. So I am very, very appreciative because it is an understatement, major understatement, to say that Claire leads the musical portions of the service far better than I. And we are blessed and gifted with her voice tonight. Samay Cooper, a member of our board of directors, Russ Schultz, the president of the congregation, and we have Carl, one of our stream team, streaming in the back. We are always grateful for all he and the other streamers do to make sure that people at home can watch this service whenever they begin their Shabbat. It is the beginning of the month of Adar, and so we say we bring joy to Adar, whatever our frame of mind, whatever the events of the world. Adar is the month in which Purim takes place. And finally, let's just begin by joining in Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. It is the beginning of the Hebrew month of Adar 2. This is a Hebrew leap year. Hebrew leap year means we add a month, not a day. So we have 2 Adars. I think it showed great insight by the rabbis, as one who likes to rejoice, that of all the Hebrew months they could have added, they picked the month of Purim. And yet, it seems as if almost every year, some of us as rabbis are apologizing for Purim. I still remember the year that the first invasion to liberate Kuwait took place when I was a rabbinic student during the month of Adar. And I remember going to my student pulpit many years ago and thinking how strange that we are rejoicing at a war in an area not far from ancient Persia at a time when Israel was being bombed and a war was being fought. And I could go through the clock of the last 30 years, and it would seem that in any given year, there's a reason we're just not sure about rejoicing. And yet Purim presents for us the challenge that we are supposed to celebrate, even as there's a little bit of bitterness caught in our throat. Because Purim asks us to celebrate because Jews living in the diaspora narrowly avoid catastrophe. And there's an awareness in any given year that even as we narrowly avoid catastrophe in the Purim story, it is not the normal story of Jews in the diaspora or Jews in the world. And so, as we begin the Hebrew month of Adar 2, and as we note that Purim is only 2 weeks away, and as we think about all the frivolity that is a part of the celebration of Purim, the story of Haman and Esther and Achashverosh and Mordechai, we are caught in a bind. It is the bind that we feel as we sit here or watch at our screens at home, and we know the Jews in Umam, a city in central Ukraine, have turned the mikveh basement of their synagogue into a bomb shelter to house Jews and non-Jews alike. It is the mixed feeling when the Jewish president, Zelensky, reminds Jews around the world of the bombing of Baba Yar and the inability of the world to stop a singular tragedy. It is the contradiction of a man named Moshe, no last name given, fleeing on a bus last week to attempt to escape to get into Israel, but saying, "Don't worry, I'll be back home." And by home he means Ukraine, as he travels to Israel, and says, "I'll be back home by Purim. Don't you worry." The story of the Jews of Ukraine is a story of incredible achievements and punishing and deadly losses. Ukraine, this ancient piece of land in its many different versions, under many different outside invaders, that's been known by many different names over the last 1,000 years, has been home to some of the greatest thinkers, writers, rabbis, and Jewish teachers per square mile in all of Jewish history. The great Chaim Nachman Bialik, Achad Ha'am, and many other renowned Yiddish and Hebrew poets. These men, while very different writers, both pioneers of modern Hebrew poetry, who began their writing careers in Ukraine in their most productive years, before journeying toward Tel Aviv later in life and coming to be known as the fathers of the new Hebrew literary movement. Rabbi Nachman of Bratzlaff, one of the great Hasidic rabbis of all time, a third-generation descendant of the Baal Shem Tov, the father of Hasidism, Ukraine, the home to both Enlightenment and Hasidism. Hasidism, where rabbis tried to balance the longing of communion with God with the painful reality of anti-Jewish crime, acts among a broken world of despair. Nachman, known even now by many Hasidim as the rabbi of all the Jews of Bratzlaff, where every year thousands of Hasidim make pilgrimage to visit his grave in Ukraine. With the creation of the Ukraine People's Republic in 1917, Yiddish was considered one of the official languages. Jews had risen up to high government posts, and Yiddish was even used in Russian currency. Jews have lived in Ukraine, as I said, for over 1,000 years, but never far from the fear of outbreaks of violence. In 1648, the Khalnitsky Pogroms, the beginning of a 10-year rampage in which as many as 30,000 Jews were killed, and 250 to 300 Jewish communities wiped off the face of the earth. Violent outbreaks marked periods of great creative and religious innovation, pain and ecstasy side by side, a fact of life written about and accepted by the Jews of Ukraine, the bittersweet writings and poems that reflected the challenge and the joy of their lives, until culminating in Baba Yar. Over 1 million Jews were killed by Germans during World War II, just in Ukraine. And Baba Yar, a ravine where thousands of Jews were shot dead all at once over several mind-numbing days. And so Baba Yar was one of the largest mass killing sites in the whole of the Holocaust. And yet, horrifying as that time was, the truth is, the vast majority of young people around the world don't even know the name Baba Yar, only 75 years later. The site of one of the greatest exterminations of Jews and the buildings next to it were bombed and burned on TV this week. And now, because of the words of the president, once again, Jews know the site Baba Yar. Part of the irony of Purim and Adar. The attempt to wipe out the site of Russian and German shame forgotten is known once again through the efforts of the Russian government to eliminate that site from memory. President Zelensky said just the other day, "What is the point of saying never again for 80 years if the world stays silent when a bomb drops at the site of Baba Yar, and more are killed as history repeats itself?" And so this time presents two strange realities side by side. Two strange realities that are part of the Ukraine. The Ukraine has a Jewish president. It also has several Nazi sympathetic parties that got 10% of the vote in the same election that gave the Ukraine its first Jewish president. And then we ask here, feeling our hands tied, how can we help? There are dozens and dozens of organizations raising money to help this country, to assist refugees, to provide support for those in need. And you can give any one of them. There are a long, long list. I want to point out just three. The World Union for Progressive Judaism, the arm of our sister Reform congregations around the world, the American Joint Jewish Distribution Committee, and the Federations of North America, which are in concert raising money for Jews and non-Jews alike, to help with resettlement, to help with refugee relief, to try to get meals in, to help Jews who can get out of the country to make aliyah, to provide housing and clothes. I sent an email with that contact information just before Shabbat, but I will send a second one with just that information later this weekend. And what of us during this strange time, during these first days of the Hebrew month of Adar II, the month of Purim, when we are told by our faith to rejoice in our retelling of this story of anti-Jewish hatred. Purim commands us, if you will, to laugh in the presence of fear. Rejoice, Purim commands, as Jews have for a century. As we tell the story of Persian Jews who beat the odds, who, if you read the story of Esther closely, were not that different than us. One of the few stories when we beat the odds, save the Jewish people somehow, and then rejoice. How do we do that? How do we sing and rejoice and celebrate confronted with this pain? And yet that is what Jews have done. It is not an accident. If we can say Jews have only celebrated Purim when things were good, I would suspect there would be very few Purim celebrations. And so we take our lessons from members of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, who state proudly on their website that they will join their neighbors and sing and dance at a nearby congregation on March 16th. We take our cue from our neighbors in Colleyville, still repairing a building they can't meet in, still meeting at nearby church, who've made it clear on their website that they will dance and laugh through their tears and rejoice regardless. And hard as it is to believe, there will be Jews in Ukraine, even if they are in the basement of their mikveh, who will be singing and telling the story of Esther, even as they may be bombed from above. Even as the history of Ukraine tells us, it will be unclear to them who is friend and who is foe. As they live the story of Purim, their lives hanging within the balance with a new evil king, they will rejoice in their tears. This Sunday, we will celebrate Purim with our religious school students at their assembly and at their Purim carnival, even as we ramp up our temple security, even as we think about the danger facing the people of Ukraine. Some are friends, some are foes, all of them staring at the same fate. And in 2 weeks, Purim. Perhaps you will join us here on Thursday or Friday to retell the story of Purim in our different ways here at Beth-El. Perhaps you will contact me privately if you would like to be with Colleyville for their Purim celebration as I support them. And so I ask you, do you know what a great Purim joke is? A great Purim joke is a joke that sticks in your throat like strong black coffee, in which the bitterness lingers. The irony does not really make you laugh as you would a harmless, meaningless joke, but rather a joke that hides the truth. Kind of like a dictator who bombs the site of a great Jewish shooting because he wants to remove that as well, but suddenly makes it remembered and not forgotten once again. That's a Purim joke. It's not really a ha-ha joke, but it is a joke that contains the tears and the contradictions of Jewish history. A joke in which we hope that the freedom fighters of Ukraine, some of which love Jews and some of which hate them and persecute them, will resist the advancing Russian army. A great Purim joke as we wonder what to pray for. And so, we try to live in a time of freedom, in a time of persecution. We try to balance joy and tears at the same time. And what do? We donate. We pray for peace, even though we know that peace is not probably what will solve this. Maybe we have a drink on Purim. Maybe we dress up. Maybe we eat a few cookies. Maybe we laugh through our tears as we consider our fragile existence. It is Adar, and Adar is the most honest month in the whole Hebrew calendar. As one of the most famous rabbis in the Ukraine once taught, Rabbi Nachman, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar ma'od, v'ha'ikar lo lefached ba. All the world is a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. Later in our service, we will listen to some of the words from some of the more famous Jewish alumni of Ukraine. And we begin, hard as it is, welcoming Shabbat by welcoming Purim. So I invite you to sing one Purim song with me, and if it's hard to sing it, that's the point of Purim. That's a true Purim. Please turn to the other side of your sheets. It is both with this and with our songs that we offer a prayer for the Jews of the Ukraine. Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He would have murdered all the Jews, though they were not to blame, sir. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham home in Tashin. And Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he'd kill us all, oh my, how he did scare us. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham hum in Tashin. But Mordechai, her cousin bold, said, what a dreadful chutzpah. If guns were but invented now, this Haman I would shoot, sir. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham hum in Tashin. When Esther, speaking to the king of Haman's plot, made mention, ha ha, said he, oh no he won't, I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham hum in Tashin. That guest of honor he shall be, this clever Mr. Smarty, and high above it he shall swing at a little hanging party. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham hum in Tashin. Of all his cruel and unkind ways, this little joke did cure him. And don't forget, we owe him thanks for this jolly feast of Purim. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham hum Tashin. And as we prepare for Shabbat, we turn to the other side to a prayer from peace adapted by Rabbi Deborah Silverman, Rabbi Nachman of Bratzlaff in the Ukraine. May it be your will, Holy One our God, our ancestors' God, that you erase war and bloodshed from the world, and in its place draw down a great and glorious peace, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Rather, may all the inhabitants of the earth recognize and deeply know this great truth, that we have not come into this world for strife and division, nor for hatred and rage, nor provocation and bloodshed. We have come here only to encounter you, eternal blessed one. And so we ask your compassion upon us. Raise us up, what is written, I shall place peace upon the earth, and you shall lie down safe and undisturbed, and I shall banish evil beasts from the earth, and the sword shall not pass through your land. But let justice come in waves like water, and righteousness flow like a river. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Holy One, as the waters cover the sea. So may it be, and we shall say, Amen. Page 120, the lighting of Shabbat candles. Thank you, Christine Levy, for helping us welcome Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles. Oh, sorry, it's a new box. I didn't notice. So Christine is getting the plastic unwrapped. Sorry.
That's all right.
Good sport, good sport.
Under there with the onion soup mix.
Oh, it'll all be good. I'll fix. Not to worry, not to worry. Get ready for Shabbat. A deep breath. Oh, I'm sorry. We're supposed to fix that with a new box.
I know.
It's all
That
good.
was just my error.
No, you're good. Page 120. Nice draft tonight. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Christine. And if you turn with me to 128, you will find, we're going to read this, not sing it. It's been adapted to music, but this is a poem written by Chaim Bialik, one of those Ukrainian poets who I mentioned, although originally written in Hebrew. Bottom of 128, let's read together. The sun on the treetops no longer is seen. Come gather to welcome the Shabbat, our queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and here abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace. Page 144, we move from preparing for Shabbat to the center of our service, and the Chatzi Kaddish lets us know that we are moving from the welcoming of Shabbat into the Baruch Hu and the Shema, the core prayers that prepare us for worship. Page 144. Shemei Rabbah
Be'ama Tirachite V'amlich Malchute B'chayechon U'yomechon U'chayedecho Be'Yisrael Ba'agala U'vizman Kariv V'imiru Amen. Yeheshmei Rabbah Nevarach Le'olam Olam Me'amaya Yitbarach V'yishabach V'yitpa'ar Yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitazar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudusha B'richu Le'ela Min Kol Bechata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiron B'yoma V'imiru. Amen.
O God, you are as near to us as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the furthermost star. And so we yearn to come near you. We call out to you as we rise on 146. We join in the Baruch Hu and remain standing through Shema.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 148 together. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are a creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness, darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated as together we continue chanting via Hafta, first in Hebrew and then reading in English.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך וברכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Together, love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them in the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Together we join in those words our people sang, crossing the sea to the other side, looking back at their enslavement, glancing forward to freedom. Page 158.
מי כמוך באל עם אדוני, מי כמוך נעלה בקודש, נורא תהילת עושה פלא, נורא תהילת עושה פלא.
מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה. זה אלינו ויאמרו, זה אלינו ויאמרו, Adonai Imach le'olam va'ed. Adonai Imach le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai ad Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, Uvros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'taknenu be'etza tova mifanecha, v'hoshienu l'ma'an shemecha. 160 together. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake be our help. Defend us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, O God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming, to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, for all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, Yakol amo Yisrael. As we prepare to sing V'Shamra on the next page, the words of Achad Ha'am, that other Ukrainian poet. More than Jews have kept Shabbat. Shabbat has kept the Jews. We join together in singing.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam b'rit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam b'rit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. Ki sheshet yamim Asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. Vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinavash, Shabbat vayinavash, Shabbat vayinavash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. Before we rise to join in prayer together, we know there are many who cannot pray together, whether through illness or through war or their own broken loneliness. We offer a prayer of healing, the Mishaberach, to all who are in need. We add to these names, of course, those under assault in Ukraine, those who are broken of spirit in the LGBTQ community, whose own lives and missions are thrown to the wind for political gain. We add all who may be at home alone this Shabbat, feeling loneliness and wishing they could be united with their community of worshipers. We mention the names of Len Anthony and Robert Bogan, Gordon Brody, Maria Schoen, Karen Delavan, Kevin Delavan, Brittany Elaine Drake, Charlotte Fiwas, Harry Phillip, Sherry Goldstein, Christopher Long, Terry Mann, Sophie O'Brien, Katrina Joy Rogers, Lee Schultz, Renee Stanton, Neil Tannenhouse, Sarah Tova, William Westerman, Ann Westerman, Leonard Furstenfeld, Daryl Abrams, Deborah Lovell, Judy Kotler Goldberg, Lori Brigman, Amy Stein, Alan Skybell, Leica Frumabat, Bela Rachel, Linnell Bond, Howard Bellett, and any names you may wish to add as I look through the sanctuary.
Allison Getz.
John Souders, Karen Goodwin, and Pets.
Thank you.
Leona Levy.
Mishaberach Avotinu Imotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sar Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh et HaCholim HaYikarim HaElu. God of our fathers and our mothers, we turn to you at this time of brokenness. Bring healing to those who are ill, strength to their families and their doctors, courage to those who take care of them and think of them and pray for them. May they be returned to health. If that is no longer possible, may they be filled with courage and hope and love and strength. May all in need find refuah shlema, a complete healing, and let us say amen. O God, our prayers turn to you. Help us to find the words. May the words of our mouth and the prayers of our lips and our innermost soul come forward to you at this time of prayer. Page 164, we rise and join together.
Adonai sefatai tifta ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zoher Hasei Avorim B'Mah, U'Medulah L'Ifnehem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mechakel Hayim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verohei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamol Chabal Gevurot, Melech Mimit, Umechayei, Umasmiach Yeshua, Bnei Eman atah Yod HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim Yechom, Halucha Selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Kadosh. Vayehi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu, Shir chadash aleinu et hachodesh haba hazeh, L'tova uvracha, v'titen lanu chayim aruchim, chayim shel shalom, chayim shel parnasa, chayim shidehei banu ahavat Torah v'yiras shamayim, chayim shimalei mishulot libenu l'tova, amen. God and God of our ancestors, may this new month of Adar 2, which begins today, bring us goodness and blessing. May we have a long life, peace and prosperity, wholeness, peace, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our heart are fulfilled for good. Watch over us and the world on this month of Adar 2. Feel free to continue standing or seated, however you wish, in Hebrew or in English on the pages that continue. Oh, say shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Page 586, we turn to that time, that ideal, when the world will be whole, l'takein olam b'malchut Shaddai, a time of wholeness and peace. We face the ark for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, latet gedula l'yoser breshit, shelo asanu k'roye ha'ratzo, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchakenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu Purim, u'mishachamim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamalchim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu, yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated, only to get up once again in a moment, because it's our custom. For those who are visiting, you should know if you're comfortable. It is our custom to ask those to rise if they hear the name of one they are mourning, and then the congregation joins in support. On this Shabbat, we think of all those who died in the past week defending their country against a war they did not invite, all those who suffered a loss. As we mention the names of those who departed, I want to begin just for a moment, as has become our custom during this time of isolation and COVID, of pointing out the loss of Paul Cohen, brother of Mark Cohen, brother-in-law of Jane Cohen. As you might have read this week, Paul was a leader in San Francisco Jewry, involved in innumerable organizations, including 18 Doors, an outreach organization, including serving as president of Shar Zahav, the first president. He was very active in Hillel, San Francisco Hillel, and the community. So active that in 2017 they named an award after him. As part of that award, he would only accept it if he had time to speak to the students so they could come to know him and he them. He shared a part of his ethical will, which is inspiring to all of us who work for the future of Jewish people. And in that will, he said, "My hope is that we are bringing up generations that are learning to make decisions for themselves." When I spoke with young staff who said, "What is my primary role as a Hillel staff person?" he said, "My response was to help students understand why they want to be Jewish adults. Your job, staff, is to help students explore for themselves during this period of independence in their lives for the first time what it will mean for them to decide why it is important for them to be Jewish." I'm not sure I've heard better words. May my own words at some later point in life be as brief and beautiful as eloquent. However, when Mark and I were talking, his fondest memory was that he and his brother loved whitefish. And at many a and many a Kiddush luncheon and Oneg Shabbat, people would come up to him and his brother and say, "How is the whitefish?" To which they would reply, "Terrible." So there was more for them to continue to eat. It is those memories of food and life and joy and mission that bring meaning. And so our Shloshim observance begins with the mention of Paul Cohen, brother of our member Mark Cohen. We add Kathy Gear, mother of Steve Gear, Jerry Skybell, Dan Gestring, brother of Martha Brown, Richard Jalkowski, brother of Cheryl Visovsky, all who passed away in the 30-day period morning of Shloshim. And we add the Yortzites, the anniversaries of their deaths, of Virginia Abrams, Nelson Alter, Claire Benno, Stina Bloomberg, Dr. Howard A. Britton, Max Cohen, Catherine G. Feinknopf, Barney Finkel, Bertie Gordon Friedman, Gertrude Gernsbacher, Charlotte Goldman, Mickey Goldman, Ira Gordon, Lillian Doris Grzinski, Gratian A. Gurney, Albert Hayes, Alan Hendelman, Teddy Hendelman, Joe Herman, Dorothy Imber, Kathleen S. Jacobson, Roy John, Gussie Katzenstein, Billy Clapper, Harold Klotz, Mary Potashman-Lard, Addie Levy, Elsie Mayer, Louise Ann Rosenblum-Morwitz, Sidney Nass, Henry S. Nuremberg, Joseph Oderberg, Louis Poses, Diane Pratt, Harry Julius Rosenstein, Leo Roth, Emmy Lou Rowe, Arnold Rubin, Joseph Sato, Ben Silverman, Hattie Weltman Simon, Walter Smith, Maurice Solomon, Francis Suter, Rose Rubinson Sussfeld, Dorothy Marie Taub, Solomon Taylor, Janet Marks Tedder, Max Weiner, Saul Platt. As we remember them and others whose yahrzeits may not be observed this Shabbat, but are no less warm and strong in our hearts. Page 598. We rise to offer support. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayid chol Beit Yisrael, b'galal v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei al-maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitala shmeid kutsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiram bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromah hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may they be remembered for blessing. And may we all say amen. You can be seated. You have to get up again in a moment. That's okay. A quick announcement that all of those who said, when are we getting back up to speed? We're not fully there yet, but we are darn close this weekend. Tomorrow morning, I know you get the e-blast, but just a mention also for those at home and here is Shabbat meditation with Brooks Alcock. Sunday morning, if you do get the bulletin came, it's a little delayed because of the ice storm. There's a story there, but if it didn't come yet, Saturday morning it's the religious school Purim Carnival. At 1:30, we will have the mayor and Representative Vesey and Representative Granger here for the American Jewish Committee report on anti-Semitism. If you can, come and show your support for these honored guests, along with Joel Schweitzer, the regional director of the American Jewish Committee. And then at 6 o'clock, it's the Beth-El Film Festival, in which we will show Jojo Rabbit in honor of the month of Adar and ask questions about humor at Purim. And yes, Seymour Roberts is committed to themed food. So yes, we will be serving strudel and gummy bears. I didn't know gummy bears were created in Germany. Now you know as well. Yes, Linda. 1:30 to 4 tomorrow. And Linda, the WRJ is going to let me know. Linda, the WRJ is going to let me know so we can get into e-blast, right? Right. 1:30 to 4 p.m. tomorrow is the Hummintash and Bacon. Till tomorrow. Now, don't confuse. Tomorrow, 1:30, you can celebrate Shabbat by creating Hummintash. Tell Linda so she knows to let you into the building. We are going to conclude. Thank you, Claire. We are going to continue. Thank you, Claire's dad, for giving her a ride. And we are going to conclude our service, page 625, with the singing of Adon Olam. Whenever you're ready. Here we go.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra Leit nasa v'chepsa kol hazar melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kichot kol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu oved v'hu yiyeh b'tzifara v'hu echad v'yain sheni להמשילה, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא הארץ והמזרח, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מן הכוסי, ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת ישן ויעירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא.
And as we prepare to turn to the Kiddush, the blessing over Shabbat with wine, a reminder, challah will be on the way out. Greet your friends and say hello. And a reminder about the Purim spiel. One of the stars of our Purim spiel, all right, I think you're our grand sign holder, right? Aaron is in the back. Thank you for helping us. That's your invitation to the Purim spiel. Glad to have you here. We're going to continue with the Kiddush. Do you want the wine cup or you want me to have the wine cup? You're going to lead the prayer.
You can have one.
Okay, I had a feeling. Okay, so we're going to continue with the Kiddush, page 123. Please join in as we bless Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'atzavanu, v'shabbat kosho, b'ahava u'ratzon hinechilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom hila l'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodecha, be'ahava u'ratzon, hinechaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Probably good I took that. And we join together in the blessing over bread. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Thank you for the Chalenda. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, it's very dry. I don't like it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.